Hello everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Motorsport Manager from the Ashes Challenge, third time through, and we're on to Singapore for the first time. Race 13 out of 16, 7 out of 10 in the challenge. And I have to say, I'm still pretty nervous about this. I still think it's going to be really tight. I don't know if we're going to be able to pull this out. We have won the last two races, which has given us, and by one I simply mean we've beaten Scuderia Rossini in the last two races, given us a 25-point lead, and the most we've had is a 30-point lead, so by that it feels really good, but Wexler's still banged up, going to be for the next couple races at least, and Singapore is going to be a rough one for us. I'm mainly concerned about how well Saarinen's driving. He won, the last race that we did. And it'd be nice if Chapman or somebody else would knock him back a peg, because this one doesn't suit us very well. Gearbox, brakes, and front wing, all crucial. You can see our gearbox 5th, a little bit above average, and there's a significant gap there. Front wing obviously is even worse. We're down to 8th. And then our brakes are the best of the three, but we're still 4th, and Scuderia Rossini is the best there. So we're going to throw everything we've got into those parts. But, our drivers are better than theirs. But this is a big gap in terms of the car, and you can see Scuderia Rossini has the best car, and we're at 4th, and that's a significant thing there. So it's really starting to get difficult. Let's see what the question is. What's wrong with Sharp? Just said their team looks weak. So it drops their marketability. And Lippin the movie, film documentary. His ego's about to jump several sizes. It's really all about me. I'm fine with that. Give the people what they want. They tell me I'm one of the biggest personalities in the WMC, and if you look at it like that, why the hell shouldn't I get my movie? Good grief. Well, his marketability goes up. No negative effect, so I'll take that. Okay, yeah, gearbox, brakes, and front wing. I want to make sure I get the right parts on here. Now, our reliability is all maxed out, so it's all about the performance. Let's take these off. Okay, so we can get about over half of the gap here filled in and hopefully improve those, so that'll be nice. More sponsor offers. We'll look at those when we head out. I'm not really concerned about that. There's nothing for us to spend money on at this point. VLAN has opened a staff center. That's not really going to impact anything. We're first. Okay, 56 laps, 2.6 miles, so it's not that long of a track, but good amount of distance. Likely to be some rain. That would be nice, and the brakes are the key thing. At least the brakes are the most important part, because that's the one that we're best at as well. Better than, like, say, if the front wing was. Track is quite abrasive. I believe it's, yeah, very high fuel usage and high tire wear. So, we gotta have, okay, you like our braking. Well, that's good. And we got a pre-race preview. VLAN's likely to struggle. Chapman hoping to close the gap on Lipinen. And yeah, again, VLAN struggling. Well, they haven't had a lot of focus on VLAN racing, but they're not important to us. Let's just sign our sponsors real quick. Boy, not much there. We'll take the 100K payment. And let's see what we have here. Let's take the 1.6 million. Boost our funds back up after all the spending we're doing. Of course, we're not making as much per race with Wexler out there, with all of the money that he's costing. And yeah, 3 weeks left on him. We're still going to take him. We still need him out there. Of course, we don't want the higher sponsor because Lipinen would throw a fit. 25 degrees. That's borderline between soft and medium. Supposed to be, and lots of rain for practice, which is interesting, but none for the race. So I'm not sure which way to go with this. I'm going to save it real quick here in case I screw this up. Okay, and at first I'm going to err on the side of let's focus on the mediums. Fewer pit stops and all that. So we'll do something like that. Actually, let's do 5 and 3. And we're predicted to finish 7th and 8th, which is the worst that it's been. So the worst that we can say is that it's partly cloudy today, even though they said heavy rain. Well, the rain is coming in later. So since it's not supposed to rain during the race, we'll want to get as much dry tire action in as we can. And let's do our weight stripping. Of course, it'll be relatively minimal because of the 3 crucial parts. And, of course, not as much there with the engine. Higher red zone. So 345 and 315. And let's start both of you on super softs. And both looking fairly similar in their requests for the setup. Except for the handling here. The handling here is quite a bit different. Wexler wanting more control. Let's see what we have. Whoa, doggone it. I don't know if hopefully he was set on qualifying. Yep. So that was just pure, I didn't even look at it. But I've settled into doing at the beginning of practice one set of qualifying on the qualifying tire, and then switching over to the race trim. Then I go back to the qualifying if I can do it, because that matches up the qualifying trim with the qualifying tire, and I've found that that's pretty useful. And Lipinen wanting to come in right away, not happy with the handling, so we'll do that, and we'll switch over to race trim when we make those adjustments. Wexler consistently having lower form than Lipinen, which is unfortunate. I do quite like the Singapore track. It's unique, you know, almost like a sort of a mini highway that they're coming down. Happy with the speed ratios. And looks like most of the drivers feeling the same way I am, super softs and mediums. Let's just tweak the speed balance a little bit, but we're going to want stiffer handling. So something like that. And I'm not sure which way to go on the downforce, but I'm going to try tweaking it lower. Although with lots of turns, it's probably actually the other way. So I'll go low. And then they can tell me I'm wrong later, which is fine. We've got to try it one way or the other, though. And then, yeah, something like that should be close. Race trim on the mediums. And Wexler is going to come in. Ran a pretty good first lap, but Chapman was faster. Others coming in. And we're going to lose this race. We just want to keep it to a minimal amount. You want more downforce. Lipinen will probably complain about that then. Super. Would appear that I did guess wrong. Seems to be quite rare that they actually want low downforce. And Chapman going even faster. %, a good starting grade. Just a tad more. All of that looks to be worth a try. Pretty good on the handling and speed. Just got to lock those in and try to get the downforce in a little bit closer. Yep, I knew that was going to come. But I don't want to take the time to make the changes. Let's get out there and get our trim rolling along. We're almost halfway there on the super softs in qualifying. As usual, the time's coming in faster than the email prediction. In this case, about 10 seconds faster. 1:12 is fairly short. It's not super short, but it's a fairly short time. And we're going to be seeing rain in about 5 minutes. Doesn't like the handling changes either. Lipinen doesn't like anything that I did. Now we're at 28, and the tires are getting warmer. So I'm thinking definitely at 24, 25, medium is going to be the right tire choice. At least for temperature. The question is, does it work in terms of how we're going to want to start and finish the race? How we're going to want to time out our pit stops. If we can max out the mediums, then I'll feel pretty good about things. And you can see some of the cars out on super softs, but a lot of them are working on their mediums as well. So, you know, it definitely looks like it's going to be a race that those are used. You can see Wexler's times coming in. Let me see how Lipinen does. Yeah, Lipinen's not doing too good. But either way, like we're behind Espinosa and Saarinen, who are up closer to the top of the field. And that's unfortunate. Let's back off. And we're going to have some track grip at the very end, possibly. Because there's still going to be water. That can't be right. So yeah, I think we're going to have just enough time to max these out. Here comes the rain. So we're definitely going to need to change a bunch of stuff with Lipinen. We'll get him on the inters. Wexler can be out there a bit longer if he needs to be. And I think I'm going to want him to go around one more. Because we're not going to get quite to... Maybe we will. Let's see, where is he? Boy, that's so close. Like, do I bring him in? I'm going to say we're going to just... You know what? I'm going to leave him out there. I don't know, like it's so tight. Yeah, I don't think we would have quite made it. All right, so now he comes in. All of that stuff is yeah, that's terrible. Really tanked this. Went wrong, and both are 55%. Been a long time since I saw that number. Okay, so we're gonna switch to qualifying. Switch to inters. Let's see about this. Poor, very poor, and handling. Now, he did tell me to stiffen up the handling, and then he was wrong about it. So we're going to want, like, downforce over, like, here. Handling up around that end. And then... let's see about giving a little bit more acceleration. Well, there's no point in messing with that just yet. Let's see where this is going to go. Maybe there. That's probably a little bit high. Let's moderate that a bit, and then we can tweak it. That will at the very least be much closer. And most likely we're just looking at getting the qualifying trim in here because we're not going... I don't see us using the inters during the race unless the weather pattern changes. Wexler's setup looking much better. We just want to try to tweak the handling a little bit. So that was good. This is great, so probably just a bit more understeer. We'll try that, see how that feels. And a relatively short pit stop. I feel like we should be able to finish top 10 on this race, but getting into the top 5 could be a little more interesting. Wexler blowing by everybody despite his 3.9 form. Well, up to 4.5 now. That's nice. So I don't know how many of those. Some of them probably don't have wet tires on. And nobody's going to be setting relatively good times here, so we're not going to have much of a handle on the actual pace until we get into qualifying. Yep, 30 degrees. That's pretty murderous. Doesn't like the speed balance, so we're still not there with Lipinen. Although I didn't think I changed the speed balance that much. Lipinen is having some excellent form for his badly set up car. And we'll come in now. One level more to go on inters. Everything else is set. No reason really to change. It's still raining. Could try to throw super softs back on. It's down to damp. Yeah, let's do that. Let's see if we can knock that up to level 2. Well, better. Not good, but better. 90%. So, super softs. Qualifying, no reason to put more than one lap in it. Okay, poor, very poor, and good. I don't think I overshot it. I think I need to go further. So more downforce. Not sure which way to go on that. Definitely want to be more towards the speed end here. All right. Let's try that, and well, we got to move this somewhere. So let's just go to the oversteer side and see how that works. Maybe like that. So we're going to end at level 2 on the inters, but hopefully get up to 2 on the super softs. Which, given the weather prediction of clear for the race, would seem to make the most sense. Instead of going for that third bit on the inters. Well, looking fantastic, except for the handling. So that was too far that way. Good. Great. Good. So we want to start from there and give it just a bit more oversteer. Let's try that. There we go. Should make that level 2. Not by the time time runs out, but by the time we get back around to the finish line. There it is. Well, we still haven't locked in the setup. Lippinen gets up to second right at the very end. I mean, that is encouraging. I just don't know how much it's going to mean. Good weather for qualifying. We need to lock in our setup. That's for sure what needs to happen. Let's check our weather. We are going to get a bit of rain later on, which makes it all the more important to lock in the setup so we can get a run before that. But definitely super softs and qualifying here. Lippinen is set. So we can get probably a run, at least one run, maybe two. So this was great. Good. Great. Okay, so that's good. This is great. And that's great. So I want to kind of go in between there. And I need to have this a little bit more to the top speed side. So that actually fits together well. That really should do it. But let's not assume to use those tires. So Lippinen's got really good form right now. Let's just get out there. And then Wexler, you do that also, but you're just going to do a start and stop. There we go. And so Lippinen 8.8, you're going to have the chance to set the pace after running second in practice. And it would be really nice if you'd keep up this kind of form all weekend during the race. Get us some more points than we probably deserve. 8.9. So you do your thing, and Wexler is going to come take a slide down pit row and tell us what he thinks about his new setup. And he thinks it's right on the money. Beautiful. Both drivers at 99%. Had 199 in the last race, but nonetheless, I'm liking that. Oh, good. We've got some lovely traffic behind us, as Wexler is going to come out and do his thing. Meanwhile, Lipponen zooming around the track, well ahead of the others. He was behind Chapman, but of course he was behind Chapman. That means nothing. Chapman, we aren't going to catch in this race. Hopefully nobody catches Chapman in this race. And I almost screwed up Wexler there, but I got him in the perfect zone. So yeah, Chapman beats him by almost half a second. And it'd be really nice if Chapman won, because that means Saarinen doesn't win. And Lipponen about to come in. Where are we sitting on the weather? Yeah, it's going to get really wet later. We want to get going right back out there. I don't think I can get a third run before the weather hits. So we get 5th and 7th roughly on our first go through. Got a couple more coming in. But I think that's all of them. So yeah, it'd be 5th and 7th. And most of the other ones are quite a bit further behind. So slow down. Slow the heck down. Whew, barely made it. Lipponen up to 9.5. Let's see if he can make something of this. But, you know, I'd like to finish a little bit higher than that. But you can see Espinosa and Saarinen 4th and 6th. So if that's an indicator that we can be fighting with them all race, I would take it. Any type of close loss to them is very acceptable here. Of course, if we could finish, like beat them or finish even, this would be remarkable. I don't see that happening, but Wexler is in, and I did nothing. Sitting there running my mouth about other less important things. He's up to 5.0. So I can't do anything about the fact that Lipponen's running a crappy time for this lap. But I can get back out here. Yeah, how much slower was it? Almost 0.2 slower. With a better rubber on the track. That is not what we're looking for out of your 9.6 form, Aki. Yep, and now we're going to have rain, making conditions worse. I don't really see the point in going out for any further frivolities, as Wexler's now taking his lap in the rain. So let's go ahead and speed through this. His lap is probably going to suck. Oh yeah, it's going to suck. And that means we're probably going to be where we are, because I don't think anybody else is going to improve on this. So we're probably going to be sitting 5th and 8th. Espinosa 4th, Saarinen 7th. Again, they're just ahead of our drivers. If we can maintain that pace during the race, I'm totally going to be fine with it. Okay, so this is going to be my second attempt at the race here in Singapore, and the reason why I'm making a second attempt is the first time I discovered that the tire wear actually wasn't going to be quite as bad as I thought, and I think, just barely stretch it out into a one-stop race. And given that we're not among the faster cars in this one, that's definitely what I want to try to do, since it is a possibility. So, I'm going to go with the super soft and the race trim. Of course, race trim and engine expert there for Wexler. And it's important to get off to as good of a start as I can, because it isn't an easy track to pass other cars on. And I'm going to go -4 laps there. Now at the beginning, we're only going to go push on the tires. I'm going to try to get away with that. And that's because I don't want to bake those tires too much at the beginning. So we got Chapman and Holtz up front. Sharp and Espinosa, Sharp driving terribly. Wexler and de Graaf, Saarinen and Lipponen. And so much of how I do in this race, whether it's acceptable or not, is going to depend on getting off to a decent start. So let's hope that we can do that as we ride along with Wexler. Wexler looking good and Lipponen looking decent. I could live with that. And Wexler trying to compete now up the field. You can see Espinosa going up, but so is he. Now for the first 2 laps, I'm going to run like this, and then I'm going to drop off, like usual. Wexler in 4th, Lipponen in 7th. Saarinen moving up. So that's not particularly good, because the Scuderia Rossini driver is doing better than anticipated as well. And there's lap 1. You can see already the tires getting warmer. And once they get up to that halfway point, I'm going to drop off to neutral. I don't feel like I've got a choice. And they may slip ahead of us. Right now I just want to be... Oh, and Espinosa crashed. Well, that didn't happen the first time. More just sheer dumb luck that I'm absolutely not going to complain about. So we're going to drop down to neutral. Goodness. I believe that's the second race in a row that Espinosa crashed. Alright, now we're going to switch down to high for Wexler. And medium for Lipponen. And I'm just going to do this for a couple laps, because I don't want anybody to pass me while they're going super aggressive. So I'm just trying to hold off, while they burn out that initial aggressiveness that they always have at the start of a race. And right now, we would win the race, which would virtually clinch the title for. And again, it almost feels cheap, but I didn't do anything to make Espinosa crash. So, yeah, and I think I'm going to do this a little bit early. What I'm doing is I'm going down to conserve. And then I'm going to try to get away with medium for Wexler, safe as fuel for later. But if it looks like I need it to hold off Chapman, because Chapman's not burning his tires as much. So that could be a situation. I need to watch closely. But Lipponen's going to go conserve, And I want to make these tires last as long as I can, which is why I'm doing that. I'm going to go conserve for pretty much the rest of this stint. And I think Wexler is going to need to be pushing that to hold off Chapman, if he even can. So let's go with that. He's got a gap in front of him now to Saarinen, so I think that's definitely the right move. Use that fuel. Now he's pulling away from Chapman, so we're just going to have to manage that gap there. And Steinman winning the race, which is fine. You know, they're going to creep up on us. Have them have fun with it. Holtz in first. So we'd definitely be losing this one by like 10, 15 points if we had Espinosa out there. So that's just an enormous race changer. And so the idea is to basically just conserve the tires. You can see the temperature is going to slowly drop. And I don't think it'll get all the way down, even with the way I'm sort of sandbagging it here. But it'll go down some. It looks like Wexler definitely wants to keep on the accelerator here. Lipinen's got a nice lead over Surikov in seventh. So I like the fact that that gap is opening up. And we're just sort of bracketing Chapman here. I mean, Wexler racing well, Lipinen racing outstanding. And I think we can get to around lap 20 or so. And then we're going to switch to medium. So we're going to take this low. Like, we're going to take the tires all the way down to like 10%. Well into the red zone. And the reason I'm going to do that, of course, is just I'm going to really get down there to be able to do this on one stop. I would very much expect pretty much everybody else to go on a two-stopper, although not necessarily the ones in the back of the field. They might go on one as well, but we're using faster tires at the start, so Lipinen trying to get by Chapman, that would be something, because then maybe he could slow Chapman down. So it's so close here. We can see all three cars in the frame at once, and Wexler a 6.8, which is, you know, barely enough to hold off Harry Chapman. Falling further and further behind Saarinen, who is having another strong race. Looks like actually Panther right now would finish with Sharp and Surikov. They'd finish second in this race. So we'd only be third in this race, and Scuderia fourth, which is sort of really weird, but we'll take it. Ribeiro locked up and goes into the pits. Still very early going here, lap 10. I mean, this is a 56 lap race with, you know, times, yeah, around 1:15. So this is it's well over an hour race. It's one of the longer races on the schedule. It's not Doha, but it's a long one. So we're here for the long haul, and we're basically, I mean, just really fortunate once again. You can see if we look at Lipinen's fuel situation, like if I'd have gone one more, it might have been best to just go one more lap of fuel down and then run low for a couple laps later on in the race. But at the current pace, like he wouldn't have had quite enough. DeGraff not having fun with the tires there is going to be coming in soon. The others, we got a few laps left. Tires now below halfway on wear. Both drivers at the same amount. And generally a little bit more than the others. You can see before Chapman had more tire left, but now he has less. Yeah, 39%. He's used some of it up to try to catch us and to no avail. So all of that is excellent, but he's still right behind there. I still feel like I want to keep pushing with Wexler, especially when he's got 4 seconds of track in front of him. There's no reason not to. Keep gunning that engine. Use up that fuel. And now seems to be pulling away from Chapman a bit, or was. So I came in a lap 17 last time. We're definitely going to stretch it further than that here. But you can see, even with the conserve on the tires, we are not, you know, we're not by any stretch getting there. I mean, it's dropping down, but not very fast. So if I really wanted to get everything out of the tires, I would have had to go even more conservatively at the start. But if I did that, I'd probably be back farther in positions. So it's a real walking a tightrope thing. Wexler coming out to a bigger lead. Let's just drop the tire usage even more. As Lipinen has plenty of room behind. Or no, he doesn't. They're catching him. So let's bump back up to conserve. We have pit stops, so I might as well do it with Wexler though. Lipinen. Yeah, Holt's moving up past Surikov. Let's see how that gap goes. Yeah, Holtz is catching him, so let's stick where we are on that. And others going in. Wexler now in the lead. And they didn't pick quite as fast the first time around, so a little bit differences in strategy. See, Saarinen going in for soft tires. And I have to think that that's not going to get him there. So I think we might well beat him just because of the pit stop strategy here. Yeah, and Lipinen having a little bit of trouble holding off Holtz. I'm definitely not going to gun the tires anymore. Just want to make Holtz work for it here. And this might be a good time to use a little bit of that extra fuel. 3-second lead for Wexler over Lipinen. Chapman has gone in now. I think I want to go in on lap 21, 22 here. And there it goes. Well, let's back off then. We've got Sharp behind. Both drivers in the red now. It's a question of how low I want to take it. I think lap 21 is how low I want to take it. Got to make sure that the mediums can actually last the distance. If we look at our weather, there's not going to be any rain. It's just going to keep getting warmer. Soon, not yet. So I'm hedging on whether I want to go on a lap 21 or 22. You know what? I'm going to stretch it to 22. I'm not sure if that's the best thing. You know, Lippinen is going to be down like 10% at like 10% or something. Let's go and go conserve on Wexler for this last bit. And Lippinen down to 4th. And now 5th. I mean, you can see that, I mean, when you get down this low, you're really hurting your times. So let's go switch to mediums. I just want to make sure that I can make it. And normally, you know, I'll just sit there criticizing the AI for letting their tires run this low. But in this case, I think it's probably the right deal. Let's go high for this last lap. See if we can hold off Chapman. Nope. So yeah, I think I might have waited a little bit too long. So Wexler's going to come out 5th. Lippinen will be much further back. We'll start conserve. Lippinen looks like he wants to make a run at DeGraff here. Let's let him do that. Almost got to the inside there, not quite. Of course, being stuck in traffic is the one thing that can just kill you on this. And DeGraff is not going to go in anytime soon. North will. But it'd be really nice to get by DeGraff here. Don't have a whole lot more time to keep doing this, though. Wexler's in a really nice spot. In between cars. The cars in front of him are going to be out there for a while. They will eventually have to come in. I'll try this for about another lap, but it doesn't look like I'm going to make it. And if I don't, I'm just going to have to back off. Yeah, I'm out of time due to fuel levels. Okay. So, that's unfortunate. Lippinen's going to finish worse than I would have hoped because he's going to probably be stuck by de Graaf for quite a while. And, of course, they'll be losing time every lap. But it is what it is. Wexler, on the other hand, should finish close to the front. And currently, we would lose the race. 15, well, 15 and 12 now. But obviously, again, that's not going to hold. De Graaf will eventually need to go in, at least de Graaf, and these top four. Hopefully Lippinen will be close enough to make a pass or two. Somewhere in there. But he still could end up finishing up fairly far back, and would have to make our hay with Wexler here, who could very well end up winning this race. Although, with his fitness issue, he is going to get slower as the race goes on. So that could go either way. But we're just over the halfway point now, and it's just going to be a grind going around lap after lap in this final half of the race. Track will gradually get faster and warmer. And now we can see Lippinen falling further behind de Graaf. Oh well. At least he's not getting held up anymore. I mean, he was, but at least he's not getting held up now. So he has a few seconds behind him to Vidal, getting pressed by Vasquez. So he may well be able to hold that spot and move up to at least 8th when de Graaf pits. 8th is not what I would have been looking for, but it's right in line with our projection, frankly, which was, I believe, 7th and 8th. And Wexler is going to finish higher, so I mean, maybe I can't complain too much about that. Wexler, even though we're conserving on the tires, just falling behind slowly. Maybe 1/10 of a second a lap compared to Holtz there on the lead. So that's pretty nice. And he's actually catching Chapman. Again, slowly. Which is exactly how we'd want it because, you know, open track, no issues with having to be slowed down by others. It's just a lonely trek around and around and around. Now I think we're starting to lose pace further. Holtz must have sped up or something. And Sharp in second place at 0.7 form. Remarkable. Panthers got to be thrilled to death about that nonsense. And I think Schmidt and Surikoff probably not going to have enough tires to make it either, because we barely will. So they'll be going in. Maybe Lipponen gets Schmidt. I don't know. I mean, one of those things, every position so important. We're trying to finish off the championship and get the points. Now Wexler, looks like Chapman sped up too. He's fading more. The question is, how much do they have left? You know, when they go in. And I'd like to speed up to be a little bit closer to them when they pit, but I mean, it's up to 27 degrees now. The tire temperature is dropping slower. I just don't think I can afford to do it with as much as I need to just conserve every last bit of tire to make sure we can finish. And it is time to go back to medium for Wexler now. Otherwise, he will not have enough fuel to finish the race. Park condition, looking fine. The rear wing, not particularly awesome for Wexler. There are still 20 laps to go. DeGraff now really starting to feel that tire wear. Here's Lipponen, who's still holding in the upper eights. Imagine if he was having a bad race driving. I mean, he's pulled away from the rest of the field, but there goes DeGraff in, up to 8th. Yeah, we gained about 15, 16 seconds. So when Schmidt goes in, it's going to be really interesting. Because I think that's going to be really close whether Lipponen gets past him or not. That 8th or 7th, I think, is where we're going to be. And moving up that spot puts us only 1 point behind Scuderia. But we will get closer. Yeah, and the tires, you can see that they're barely losing any temperature at all. All these drivers are going to be going in very soon. And I don't think Wexler passes them all just because of the time gap. But at least Chapman and Saarinen and probably Sharp. The question is, can he stay ahead of those drivers later on? I need to start tracking how much we're using here. There's across the line at 57%. for Lippinen, and they're really trying to stretch this out. I think that's a mistake. How much tire are we using per lap now? So after this lap, there's going to be 16 more to go. Sharp having to do some repairs. That's interesting. And Holtz comes out ahead of Wexler. No surprise there. But yeah, make almost 3% being used a lap. So let's say it's 3%. So that's 48% more down. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna be running on our rims by the end of this. So we've got no room to do anything but just chill out and keep up what we're doing. And actually, yeah, I'm going to go to back up for as much as I can afford to. I just want to keep... There's Chapman in. Wexler up to second. Saarinen with the fastest lap of the race. I'm basically just force dropping that temperature. Surikov with mechanical issues. And will have to pit, so I don't even care if he passes Wexler. I really don't. Because he's not going to stay ahead. Right about there. So if I drop it any more than that, then I can't stay on conserve the rest of the race without his tires graining. So I'm saying about there is where I want to be. Lippinen can do it more. $12 laps to go. He's got a little bit of fuel that he can use. Why not use it now? It's just for about half a lap. Yep, and there's Surikov going to go in. Right about there. Lippinen has more. And I think he's got in good enough condition to use it. And I might have dropped Wexler's tire temp a little bit too far. Let's go conserve now. And so instead of ended up in like 8 or 9% with our tires, we'll be like in the teens. We're still going to be dragging, but we're going to be better than we would have been. I don't see any way that Wexler stays ahead of Saarinen, though. Sharp and Chapman, their tires are going to be baked. Especially Sharp by the end. Let's go ahead and see what time we can get here, Lippinen. At the end of this lap, we're going to be at 8 to go. So that should just about take you down. Yeah, tire temperature is very slowly dropping. Wexler's form dropping. His fitness is dropping. So he's going to fall off a cliff here. But, oh, Saarinen backing up, battling with Sharp. If we stuck where we are, well, let's wait till Schmidt comes in, because that's going to happen soon. 20%. And this is one of those where he's got to come in, so why doesn't he do it now type of things. But apparently he doesn't want to do it just yet. Okay, not now he is. He's decided to come in. So then... yeah, tires are right at the borderline for Wexler. So I did push it too far. I'm going to bump up to neutral for like a lap. And at least that'll hopefully get me by Woodford here. Yep. That was a very timely wide turn. Now we'll go back to conserve. Sharp coming up behind us on those soft tires will catch us soon. But now we're in 2nd and 7th. Lippinen is ahead of Schmidt, but not going to stay there. And that would give us, you know, a 2nd place in the race, 12 points there, but we have nothing to hold off Schmidt with. So... use a very small bit here. There we go, just to extend that out a hair, but... and even that might have been too much. Wexler's fastest lap of the race this late. That's rather stunning. He might hang on to 2nd. Which is really surprising to me. Saarinen down to 5th. That's great news. I mean, if that held, only 10 points for them today. So Lippinen trying to hold off Schmidt. Will it actually work? No, because once our tires go red, we're going to be in trouble. We've got another lap and a half here with 4 to go. We have about the last 2.5 laps we're going to be in the red zone. And that's when things are going to go sideways. But see, Sharp has the same problem. So, let's see where Sharp is. Yeah, 25%. Schmidt, however, does not have that problem. No, we should pit never. How does that sound? In fact, you've got to go up to neutral for just a bit. So I did slightly miscalculate with Wexler on how far I drove down the tire temp. But the thing is, I don't think it's going to matter that much. There we go. Now go conserve. And both drivers... Yeah, both drivers have some fuel left. I've got to be very careful here. But they have some fuel left. So let's use that. And wow, Lippinen is holding off Schmidt. I cannot believe that. Yeah, definitely go back down to medium now. Okay, Lippinen, you're about halfway through the lap. Not yet. There we go. I'm just trying to squeeze every ounce out of this race that I can. %. Well, we know Wexler's finishing second. Let's ride with Lippinen on his last lap. Looks like he's going to hold off Schmidt somehow, some way. And Saarinen does bounce back up to third, though. So yeah, instead of winning by 9, we would have lost by probably 8, 10 points if Espinosa had gone, which still would have been acceptable. But it wouldn't have been as good as what we have here. 2nd and 7th. Very, very happy about how this race went out. Beautiful. 18% for both of them. You know, they end up with about 1/10 of a lap of fuel. So a bit of extreme tire strategy there. Getting us an acceptable result. Holtz with what I believe is her first win of the year. And no penalties at all to shake things up. Espinosa having a bad day to our benefit. We're now 1st and 2nd in the standings. See how close it is between Wexler, Saarinen, and Chapman. 34-point lead as a team. So for the first time, with 3 races to go, for the first time, we can sort of breathe easy a bit. It's not over yet, but we can breathe easy a bit. You can see Steinman creeping up, but not close enough to make any kind of serious run at it. Chairman Happiness has bounced back up. And he's got 3 max stats. Didn't notice that before. So it looks like he might hit braking, the level 20 of braking before the end of the year. That'd be interesting. And that mechanic relationship back up, but we don't care about that refueling. It's not enough to matter. We lose 8,000 in this race. Oh well. So Sydney is next up. I think our car will compare better in that one, but there's no question that, you know, it's the last one with the front wing being a crucial part. But it also is expected to be an absolute downpour during the race, which should be interesting. We might have some advantages there. So, I mean, Singapore was the one I was really worried about. Got through it much better than expected, actually extending our lead. So it should be all over but the shouting. As long as I don't do anything really, really stupid, we should finally be able to wrap this up. That's going to be it for here. Be back soon with the Sydney race. And thanks for watching, everybody. More Motorsport Manager coming up.